Well, we've talked about it a lot over the years, but the really great midfielders kick goals as well, don't they? There's Armfield inside.
Nice.
Soft kick, wasn't it? You talked about that last week, Lee.
Favola just led hard and really North Melbourne opponent had no chance there because he just he hit it. Yeah, I think he might have just, they might have swapped opponents. I'm sure he's not his direct matcher. Bit of shepherding off the ball to create that leading space for Favola.
One of the criticisms of Armfield was probably one of the only criticisms was his kicking. He's a very hard runner. His work rate's fantastic. Missed some targets last year, but that was a very good spot up.
We kicked a brilliant goal from the other side a moment ago. This one you would think would favour the right footer, maybe a fraction more. He's guiding it through. He's got a half a dozen. Oh. Gee, that interview did him good at the start, Bucks. I reckon next time you ask him for what he'll say, he'll do that again.
That interview obviously affected his concentration badly. No, he's really odd. But he's got such a beautiful kicking action. He sort of virtually places the ball on his boot. The man next to me did that. I mean, the really good kicks, there's not much space between their hand and their foot, basically. They almost put the ball on their instep, and that gives them consistent control. And Favola's a fantastic example of that.
It's closing in on Carey on the all-time pre-season list now.
Carlton galloping away at the present time, 84-39. How about those marks inside 50? So many of them. Favola on the lead.
Of the 13, Favola's had 6.
Most of them up around the 50-metre arc. Cruiser falling to the ground. Robinson back in the action. Armfield, Bauer, Simpson, Bauer.
Trouble there.
Actually, it was Anderson who gave it back to Simpson there. They had plenty of players around the ball. Tossed out by Grigg, and it was a toss. Houlihan. Robinson finds a way through. The youngsters doing very nicely out of the middle. Although Carlton will cough it up. Campbell to Swallow. All Carlton on the wing. Simpson dropping back, takes the mark, and to the other side of the ground they've got men everywhere. One of whom is this man, Armfield, feeds it forward, taken by Bentley. Bentley goes towards the pocket, coming up for Favola, dropping back as Houlihan.
They're getting numbers, or they're getting someone clear inside their 50 quite often, but I think the real issue is there's just not enough pressure with the on the kick coming inside 50. On that occasion, they were just able, with Bentley it was on that occasion, just able, it was 10 metres clear. There was just not enough pressure from North Melbourne. It's not something that we're used to from them. Usually they are very good in that area, but Carlton have been able to use the ball efficiently and get a man clear so that he can dispose with time and space.
So Houlihan kicking at goal, not his long suit. He's a wonderful kick, but not always at goal. And he comes and he misses to the right-hand side. Funny how it happens, isn't it?
It's probably another example. I mean, players generally, they often that set shot at goal, you kick the ball differently than you do for the other 95% of the time. And I think Houlihan is a good field kick, but a bit shaky in front of the big sticks.
He's played well tonight, and he's interesting. Only 5 games last year. It's one of those guys, he's played a lot of footy. Last year you might have thought, we can almost do without him. We're going that well, but you've seen his value here tonight.
And as we said, Fev says he's the best kick. If he was in the lead, he'd want him with the ball in the middle of the ground. And
that's a fair rap when you look at some of the other players in their team. Lower to Harding, to Anthony, and now to Garland. There's Campbell, I should say. He's been quietish tonight. Such a creative play. Back to Harris, who hasn't had a whole lot of it. Stevens stood his ground very well. Waits had a big third term. Bangs it back out with all the numbers.
Carlton worked so hard then from that stoppage to get numbers behind that North had the break, but they weren't able to get through them.
There is Jeffrey Garland. That's not such a good kick to Power. And Jeffrey Garland, who just kicked at his mum, and Buddy Franklin's mum was sisters. Brett Ratton told me that yesterday. So this bloke's having his first run tonight for the Blues. And Robert Harvey, what a great champion.
This looks weird, doesn't it? When players that have played for one club for so long and you see them in other colours.
You're telling us something, Bucks?
No, didn't that look weird?
It did. I was
21.
I was just thinking about something else, but I won't go there. Houlihan, lower.
And I'd be surprised if Harves isn't more nervous tonight than he has been for most of his 300 AFL games. A different role, different club. I'm sure he would have had a few nerves in his stomach coming to footy tonight.
You just love to have him around the club, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah, great fella.
With what he brings to you.
Fella.
He knows the game.
Sure does. Armfield, good. Well, Harris couldn't quite get him.
Brady Rawlings is as good as there is at this at that role. Shut Judd down after a damaging first quarter to no touches in the second, and he's not going to get any easy touches while he's on the field.
So Judd on the outer side, talking with him yesterday, we had some work together, and he was saying that he had caught up with Ben Cousins, and I think that part of his growing his hair is psychological preparation for round one. Coming through as Betts tries to angle it across the goal, and the mark is taken by Favola. That will be something. Mr. Chalk and Mr. Cheese in round one as the ball comes in just short. I was going to say of 20, but the umpire says it's fine. Bentley's got it.
He looks a lot fitter, a lot more slim than he did in a Port Adelaide jumper. Now, whether he's had a great pre-season and he's up and running, or if the Guernsey itself, but he's moving very well.
So Bentley played some handy games for Port. Kicks it straight through. Ball Carlton.
Yes, I think perhaps all us stocky people know that a dark colour makes you look slimmer.
Right? And the socks up, maybe. Was he a socks down? I thought he was a socks down player at Port.
He
There might be an expectation from him.
He averaged 7 games a year for Port over the 3 years, so just couldn't quite make his mark there, could he? He's come to Carlton at a good time if he can.
It's take your advantages, your opportunities in pre-season to make your stake your claim.
There was a buzz about the Blues, Lee, when we came here tonight.
Yeah.
There's been a buzz about them all pre-season.
Well,
I reckon the bandwagon's getting bigger right now, don't you?
As I say, the Hawthorn mould went to the bottom, got good draft choices, and then popped up, obviously won the premiership, and Carlton are hoping that they might be the next team to do that.
Your experience, Lee, over the stretch, could a team like Carlton get really high into that 8 this year? Are they capable of jumping straight into the 4?
I think the teams below the two grand final teams last year obviously got to find a bit, but I think all the rest of the 10 you could throw a blanket over them, I think.
Well, one stat that is a fact, in the last 15 seasons, a team that didn't make the 8 the year before finishes top 4 the next year. It's happened for 15 straight years.
It's almost inevitable that someone comes out of the pack. The same 8 just doesn't play 2 years in a row.
Margin is 52 points. It's thrown in right on the 50. Lurking behind was Garlett. Didn't go anywhere with the football. Emerging with it, Rawlings. Flicks it across towards Pratt. Pratt's in trouble. Went to ground. Robinson head down. Did well. Putting the body in down there. Murphy, as he always does. Cruiser. Back to Robinson. Wonderful stuff. Betts snaps a goal.
Well, you often talk to your players about enthusiasm. Everybody thinks they're enthusiastic. This kid here, Robinson, is exhibiting enthusiasm. He's bouncy, he's lively, he's working the man on the mark, his second, third efforts. I mean, they are really the kind of personalities that just keep at it.
The little step he put on there to get around that play.
Thought
And that was
himself
his
as well.
second or third effort in that bit of play, but you're right, he's been brilliant.
Number 40 in the draft. Have a look at those inside 50s. Gary Ablett Jr. was number 40 in the draft. Joe Watson, number 40. Admittedly, father and son, but that exact number, Michael O'Loughlin and David Hill. It's been a good number 40. Yeah. This guy looks the goods, doesn't he? I mean, he's made a huge impression here tonight.
He's reloading up.
It's interesting rule, that one. If the umpire bounces the ball and it doesn't give both teams a fair go at it, they bring it back, throw it up.
Yep.
So the Blues looking terrific. They're giving the Kangaroos the Blues tonight. And Lee, like for Dean Laidley tonight, I mean, it's a bit of a wake-up call. You feel like you've had a good pre-season. You feel like everything's gone all right. You're getting belted. I mean, do you sort of think, hang on a sec?
Well, particularly when you've got all your personnel out there. I mean, they've got their good personnel out there, apart from probably Adam Simpson. So that's always disturbing. I mean, you move on pretty quickly this time of year, but hasn't been a good night for the Kangaroos.
This is Russell, got it from Bauer, goes across the ground, look out, arriving quickly. Wells didn't control the footy though. The hand pass from Bentley was ill-directed, picked up by Lower. He's away. Too clever by Half. No, it works out okay. Harvey gives it